Hi, I'm Mike Ricker with FlorStar Sales, and I'm here to talk to you about some common problems we've been having with mechanically fastened floors over the last couple of years. We've been having a lot of squeaking and noise issues on both solid and engineered mechanically fastened floors. There's two main reasons for this escalation of claims. Number one is the floors have gotten a lot wider. If you look at what was popular a few years ago, 3-inch was the mainstay. And if you use the proper nailing pattern on a 3-inch floor, represented by the arrows or the X's, you'd have about 16 fasteners per square foot. Today, floors have gotten wider, 8-inch being a common width. On an 8-inch floor, marked by the X's, you're only going to have about 8 fasteners per square foot. So if you look at the difference between the X's here and here, you can see there are a lot fewer fasteners holding the floor in place, which can create a lot more movement if the floor is not perfectly flat. Second biggest issue that's happened is everybody's familiar with the CARB standards from California. They've taken all the formaldehyde adhesives out of the products. OSB is not immune to this issue. And over the last few years, the OSB composition has changed dramatically, even though that's not being publicized. The biggest difference is once the OSB becomes wet, which, let's face it, about every OSB floor we get to is going to be wet before we get there. Whether it be rained on when it's in transportation from the lumberyard, sitting beside the house, or once it's installed. Fresh OSB like this, I can bear down on with all of my weight, and you can see I get very little penetration of the scratch-all. This exactly same piece that I soaked in water overnight, you can see the difference in this. And we have an entire video also in this library that shows more details on this moisture phenomenon with the OSB. You can also see it doesn't have much holding power. So as the nail tries to hold the bowed board down or over a slight decrease in the subfloor, a slight low spot, over time the staple will work out. As you step on it, it goes back in, and that up and down movement is going to cause noise. So the way most manufacturers have dealt with this issue is they've taken squeaks and noise out of their warranties. So if you install the floor and it makes noise, it's entirely on your shoulders. So what's the best way to avoid the noise? To use a belt and suspenders approach. We call it glue assist. Instead of simply nailing or mechanically fastening either a solid or an engineered floor in place, we're going to use a glue assist. We strongly recommend Sika Pro Construction Adhesive. Two main reasons we suggest Sika. Number one, it's a moisture-cured urethane. This gives off no water as it dries. It actually soaks water in from the environment as it dries. So if you use it with a plank solid wood, it's not going to cause any cupping or deformity of the plank because it gives off no moisture. Second, it remains very pliable like rubber. So as the floor expands and contracts, it can accommodate that movement without causing any shearing of the bond. So we strongly recommend using the Sika Pro Construction Adhesive available from FlorStar. And this process is quite easy. You take the board and your standard mechanical fastening device, and you're going to put what's called a serpentine pattern on the back of the board. Serpentine simply means like a snake. So that is a serpentine pattern. Just like this. If you tried to trowel the whole floor and glue it down, that adds a lot of labor cost. Plus you're not able to staple it because your machine gets all messy in the process and you have to stay off of it while the glue dries. With this process, you're still going to mechanically fasten it so the floor can be walked on immediately, but you also have the glue there to hold it down so in the case that the staple does try to back out, it has a glue assist holding it as a second backup. And all you do is you put this into the subfloor, press it down a little bit, and then use your mechanical fastener to fasten on the tongue side and install the rest of the floor, and off you go. One comment I will make is urethane adhesive is great, but if it gets on the surface, it can be a bear to remove, especially after it dries. You should always have some Sika glue remover with you. Sika glue remover is the only adhesive remover I have found that can remove not only wet polyurethane adhesive, but dry as well. So if you have some fingerprints you miss and you see it a week later and the customer calls, this will still be able to get the Sika urethane off the floor. A big money and time saver. So thank you for your business. We appreciate it at FlorStar. If you have any questions, please call your FlorStar representative.